Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you were around in the 1970s, or if you just love that warm, fuzzy feeling of looking back at a simpler time, then this video is for you. Today, we're taking a full trip back to one of the most iconic decades in American history, a time when bell-bottoms ruled the sidewalks, disco balls lit up the dance floor, and Saturday mornings meant cartoons, cereal, and nowhere else to be. The 1970s gave us so much more than just a decade on the calendar. It gave us a whole way of life. From the toys we played with, to the movies that scared us half to death, from the fashion we rocked, to the music that got everybody up and dancing. This was a decade that left its fingerprints all over American culture. And whether you lived through it firsthand, or you're discovering it for the first time right now, I promise you're going to see just how much of today's world traces straight back to these 10 unforgettable years. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's take a walk down memory lane together. We've rounded up 11 of the most unforgettable things from the 70s, the trends, the toys, the movies, and the moments that defined an entire generation. Some of these you'll remember instantly. Others might just surprise you with how much they still shape the world we live in today. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome to the family. This channel is all about celebrating the decades that made us who we are. Make sure you like this video, drop a comment telling me which decade you grew up in, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a trip back in time. All right, let's get into it. Here are 11 things from the 1970s you will never forget.
Metal lunchboxes. In the 1970s, metal lunchboxes were far more than simple containers for a bologna sandwich. They were a pop culture statement carried proudly by kids on their way to school. These durable tins didn't just keep your food safe. They displayed your favorite cartoons, superheroes, or movie characters, letting you show off your personality before you'd even said a word to your classmates. Most came with a matching thermos, which only added to the fun and excitement of owning one. Swapping thermoses or comparing designs became its own kind of playground currency. Kids would trade lunchbox stories the way adults might trade stock tips, arguing over whose box featured the coolest character or the toughest hero. Brands like Aladdin and Thermos churned out designs featuring everything from the $6 Million Man to Kiss, and a well-chosen lunchbox could instantly boost a kid's social standing in the cafeteria. For many children, these lunchboxes were a meaningful part of the school routine, reflecting the pop culture obsessions of the time and turning lunchtime into something a little more exciting than just eating. Decades later, vintage metal lunchboxes have become sought-after collector's items, fetching surprising prices at flea markets and online auctions, proof that the nostalgia they carry is worth just as much as the tin itself. Eventually, safety concerns about the metal edges led schools and manufacturers to shift towards plastic and vinyl lunchboxes by the end of the decade. But for the kids who grew up carrying those clanging metal tins, nothing ever quite replaced the feeling of picking out a brand new design at the start of the school year.
Tube socks. Tube socks made a huge fashion statement in the 70s, especially among kids and teens in gym class. Their defining trait was length. They stretched all the way up to the knee, making them an unmistakable style icon of the decade. Unlike today's fitted athletic socks, tube socks had no shaped heel at all, just a straight tube of fabric that somehow became a defining silhouette of an entire generation's legs. Worn by boys and girls alike, they were loved for their bright, colorful stripes near the top, which added a playful pop of color to any outfit, whether you were shooting hoops or just hanging out at the mall. Paired with short shorts, tube socks completed the quintessential 70s look, embraced by athletes, gym teachers, and trendsetters alike. Tennis stars and basketball players helped popularize the look on television, and soon enough, everyday kids wanted to dress just like their sports heroes. This bold sock trend still stands as a symbol of the fun, free-spirited, slightly goofy energy of the era, a reminder that fashion in the 70s wasn't afraid to be a little over the top. Even outside of gym class, tube socks found their way into everyday wardrobes, worn with sneakers, sandals, or roller skates alike, and their simple, one-size-fits-most design made them an affordable staple for families raising active kids. Today, the look has enjoyed something of a nostalgic revival, with retro athletic brands reintroducing striped tube socks for a new generation drawn to that unmistakable throwback style.
Jaws.
When Jaws hit theaters in the summer of 1975, it forever changed how people saw the ocean. Directed by a young Spielberg, this terrifying tale of a giant shark became the original summer blockbuster, thrilling audiences with its 25-foot mechanical shark nicknamed Bruce by the film crew. The production was famously plagued by technical problems. The mechanical shark barely worked half the time, but that turned out to be a blessing in disguise, forcing Spielberg to rely on suggestion and suspense rather than constant shark shots, which only made the film scarier. The suspense and groundbreaking effects had viewers glued to their seats, hearts pounding every time John Williams' now iconic two-note score began to creep in. Beaches across the country reported drops in attendance that summer, as swimmers suddenly found themselves scanning the water nervously for fins before daring to go in. More than just a film, Jaws became a cultural phenomenon that made an entire generation think twice about swimming in open water. It's remembered today both for its gripping story and unforgettable villain, and for fundamentally reshaping how Hollywood approached filmmaking, marketing, and wide theatrical releases, launching the very concept of the summer blockbuster that studios still chase today. The film also turned its young director into an overnight sensation, launching Spielberg on a path that would eventually produce some of the most beloved movies in cinematic history. And it introduced moviegoers to a level of wide-release marketing and merchandising that had never been attempted on such a scale before.
Shag carpeting. Shag carpet was everywhere in the 1970s, prized for its long, fluffy fibers that felt amazing underfoot, especially for kids who loved padding around barefoot on a chilly morning. People loved lounging on it, sprawling out to watch television, or making patterns in it, almost like snow angels on the living room floor. Vacuuming shag carpet was practically an art form in itself, requiring special rakes and attachments just to keep the long fibers looking fluffy and untangled. It came in earthy, warm shades, rust, moss green, sunny yellow, sky blue, that gave any space a cozy, inviting feel. And it wasn't uncommon to find shag carpeting climbing up bathroom walls or wrapped around toilet lids, a design choice that feels almost unthinkable today. Even though some found it a bit tacky or hard to keep clean, its comfort and color variety made it a household favorite, often paired with bold floral print couches, macrame wall hangings, and beaded curtains to complete the groovy interior design of the decade. For many families, a shag rug wasn't just flooring. It was the centerpiece of a living room built for lounging, board games, and long evenings in front of the TV. Homeowners often coordinated their entire color scheme around their carpet choice, pairing rust-colored shag with wood paneling or avocado green appliances in the kitchen, creating a cohesive, unmistakably 70s aesthetic that today's interior designers still reference, sometimes with irony, sometimes with genuine admiration, when chasing a retro look. The bowl cut. In the 70s, kids everyone wanted hair just like Adam Rich from the hit television show 8 is Enough, which meant asking for the now iconic bowl cut. The name came from its unmistakable look, as if a bowl had been placed on the head and the hair trimmed neatly around it, leaving a smooth, rounded fringe across the forehead. Parents often gave their kids this haircut at home to save money on trips to the barber, which only made the trend spread faster among siblings and neighborhood friends. Even celebrities embraced the look. Baseball star Pete Rose sported a version of the cut throughout much of his career, and Olympic figure skater Dorothy Hamill made it especially famous among girls after her gold medal performance, inspiring so many young fans to copy her hairstyle that it became known informally as the Dorothy Hamill wedge. Despite its odd salad bowl appearance by today's standards, the bowl cut was embraced across genders and age groups, appearing on playgrounds, TV screens, and family photo albums alike. The bowl cut remains a quirky, beloved symbol of the decade's willingness to try bold, unconventional, and sometimes downright eccentric looks without worrying too much about what anyone else thought. Pong. Pong revolutionized home entertainment when it debuted in the 1970s, marking one of the very first steps toward the video game culture we know today. Released by Atari in 1972,
It brought a digital version of table tennis into arcades and, eventually, living rooms, with players batting a small white dot back and forth using simple on-screen paddles. The game was so successful in its early arcade cabinet form that the very first unit installed in a California bar reportedly broke down within days, not from a technical fault, but because it was so stuffed with quarters that the coin box overflowed. Simple as it was, the game was incredibly addictive, drawing players in with its basic two-dimensional graphics and easy-to-learn gameplay that required no instruction manual at all. Just watch the ball, move the paddle, and try to beat your friend. Families gathered around television sets to take turns, and rivalries over who could rack up the highest score became a beloved pastime in households lucky enough to own a console. Pong set the stage for the entire video game industry, proving just how much untapped potential digital entertainment had in the home, and paving the way for the consoles, arcades, and gaming culture that would explode in the decades that followed. It didn't take long for competitors to notice, and soon a wave of imitators and increasingly sophisticated home systems began appearing on store shelves, kicking off an entire industry that would eventually grow into one of the largest forms of entertainment in the world, a legacy that traces directly back to that one simple bouncing dot.
Pet rocks. The pet rock craze swept the nation in the 1970s, letting people adopt an ordinary rock as a pet, complete with feeding, dressing up, googly eyes, and even walks around the neighborhood on a makeshift leash. The idea, dreamed up by an advertising executive who joked about the low-maintenance nature of an actual rock as a pet, spread like wildfire once it hit store shelves, packaged in a small cardboard carrying case complete with air holes, as if the rock needed to breathe. For just $4, anyone could enjoy the novelty of a low-maintenance companion that never needed to be walked at 6 a.m. or fed on a schedule, and the pet rock came with its own tongue-in-cheek instruction manual, explaining how to teach your rock simple tricks like sitting and playing dead, jokes that only made the whole concept funnier and more endearing. Within a matter of months, the trend had made its creator a millionaire, and pet rocks appeared everywhere from department store shelves to late-night talk show jokes. The pet rock became a light-hearted symbol of the decade's playful, inventive spirit, proving that even the silliest ideas could capture the public's imagination and turn something as ordinary as a rock into a cultural sensation and a genuine collector's item today. It also became something of a cultural punchline, referenced on talk shows and in newspaper columns as a light-hearted symbol of how quickly a fad could sweep the nation, and it remains one of the most cited examples of a marketing idea that succeeded purely on charm and humor, rather than any practical use at all.
Saturday Night Live. SNL became a television institution in the 1970s, entertaining the country with its irreverent mix of comedy sketches, musical guests, and celebrity hosts every Saturday night. The original cast, often nicknamed the not-ready-for-primetime players, included legends like Chevy Chase, John Belushi, Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd, and Jane Curtin, all of whom became household names almost overnight thanks to their fearless, boundary-pushing comedic talent. The show poked fun at everything from politics to pop culture, creating catchphrases and characters that are still referenced today, decades after they first aired. Because it aired live from Studio 8H in New York City, anything could happen. Cast members occasionally broke character laughing, technical mishaps occurred on camera, and the unpredictable energy became part of the show's charm rather than something to hide. Musical guests ranged from cutting-edge rock acts to legendary performers, giving the show a cultural relevance that stretched far beyond comedy alone. Decades later, SNL remains a launching pad for countless comedy careers, having introduced the world to generations of future movie stars, and its influence on American comedy and late-night television can still be felt in nearly every sketch show that has followed.
Mood rings were a massive fashion craze in the 1970s, claiming to reveal your innermost emotions through color, and they quickly became one of the most talked-about accessories of the decade. The ring shifted shades based on your finger's temperature, which people believed reflected their mood: blue for calm, amber for nervous, black for upset, and green often associated with feeling relaxed or normal. Friends would compare rings throughout the day, half-jokingly diagnosing each other's emotional states based on nothing more than a shifting sliver of liquid crystal.
While the science behind them was really about body temperature rather than genuine feelings, that didn't stop mood rings from becoming a beloved and wildly popular accessory among teenagers and adults alike. Department stores couldn't keep them in stock, and cheaper knockoff versions flooded gift shops and mall kiosks across the country. They're remembered today as a fun, quirky piece of 70s nostalgia, tied to the era's broader fascination with self-discovery, astrology, and self-expression. A decade when people were eager to explore new, playful ways of understanding themselves, even if the science was mostly a novelty. Some versions even came mounted on necklaces or bracelets so that wearers could carry their mood with them everywhere, and the trend briefly inspired other temperature-sensitive novelty items, from mood pendants to color-changing makeup, all riding on the same wave of fascination with feelings made visible.
Schoolhouse Rock brought learning straight into kids' living rooms during Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s, quietly slipping educational lessons in between episodes of other animated shows. Through catchy songs, memorable characters, and playful animation, children absorbed lessons on grammar, math, politics, history, and science without even realizing they were studying at all. It felt like just another fun cartoon short. Songs like Conjunction Junction, I'm Just a Bill, and Interplanet Janet remain instantly recognizable to anyone who grew up watching, with many adults today able to sing along decades later, proof of just how effective and catchy the songwriting truly was. Teachers even began incorporating the songs into actual classroom lessons, recognizing how well the format helped students remember complex concepts. By blending education with entertainment in such a clever and memorable way, Schoolhouse Rock left a lasting impression on an entire generation of viewers, and its influence can still be seen today in the wave of educational children's programming that followed in its footsteps.
Disco defined the sound of the 1970s music scene with its upbeat, danceable rhythms, pulsing bass lines, and glittering larger-than-life energy. The genre gave rise to discotheques across the country, where people gathered dressed in their finest, flashiest outfits to dance the night away to hits from artists like KC and the Sunshine Band, the Bee Gees, Donna Summer, and the Tramps. Even rock acts like the Rolling Stones dabbled in disco-influenced tracks, showing just how far the genre's reach extended across the musical landscape. Iconic clubs became cultural landmarks in their own right, drawing celebrities and everyday dancers alike to dance floors lit by spinning mirror balls and flashing colored lights. Roller discos also emerged during this time, blending roller skating with disco dancing for a flashy new twist that combined two beloved pastimes into one glittering wheel-spinning spectacle. Fashion followed suit, with sequins, platform shoes, and wide-colored shirts becoming disco floor staples. With its infectious energy and larger-than-life spirit, disco created a party atmosphere that got everyone moving, regardless of age or dance experience, and it left a permanent mark on music history that continues to influence pop and dance music to this very day. Even after the initial disco craze faded toward the end of the decade, its DNA lived on in the electronic, house, and pop music that followed, proving that the four-on-the-floor beat and glittering spirit of the dance floor were never really going away for good.
And there you have it. 11 unforgettable pieces of 1970s magic that shaped a generation and left a mark on American culture that's still with us today. From metal lunchboxes and tube socks to Jaws, disco, and everything in between, the 70s truly gave us a decade unlike any other, one built on creativity, a little bit of chaos, and a whole lot of heart. What strikes me most looking back at all of this is how much genuine joy came out of such simple things. A rock in a cardboard box, a ring that changed color, a cartoon song about grammar. It really makes you appreciate how much fun didn't need to be complicated back then. Sometimes the simplest ideas ended up being the most unforgettable. If this video brought back some good memories, or if you learned something new about a decade before your time, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment down below and let me know, which one of these 11 things hit you the hardest with nostalgia? Did you have a favorite lunchbox? Did you rock a bowl cut? Were you out there on the disco floor? I read every single comment, so don't be shy. And hey, before you go, if you enjoyed this trip back to the 1970s, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss the next decade we dive into. There's a whole lot more nostalgia coming your way. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.